well, when you're drinking kombucha, you're not drinking beer. Almost like in any experiment, you have to be ready to fail a couple times before you dial it in. Oh, yeah, don't do that.
One of them can be kombucha. So, Mike, do you want to introduce?
Sure. Alex is a YouTuber, like longevity, I guess is like or like health and wellness YouTuber.
Both.
He's a software engineer and like a general Russian Guyevich who also goes to Burning Man and has a lot of hobbies. And he once brought some very interesting kombuchas to my house with like lots of like weird flavors and stuff kind of like this. And so I thought he would be a great person to show people how to do kombucha.
Yeah, so in short, I like to say, I like to convince people that dying is bad. And usually people say, yeah, it's obvious, but then, no, it's not. It's not. But anyway, today I'm going to introduce you to kombucha. I know it's became very popular lately. So we can start with, I guess, why. And yes, gut microbiome. It's how it gets advertised, although I couldn't find any good studies showing that we did kombucha for that many years or months versus placebo, and then we got these amazing results. But there are some trending good news into that direction. Why I do it? Just taste them nice. Because you know, if it would taste like crap, nobody would drink it anyway, and all this conversation would be pointless. But the thing is, it actually, for my taste, is pretty good. But I like sourish, lemonade-ish kind of things. So it's a perfect soft drink, which you can control what you made out of it. Because usually if you buy kombucha in the store, well, first it's overpriced AF. Second, they have too much sugar in it. But when you brew it at home, you can do it as sour as you want. You can, if it's too sour for you, you can add some monk fruit to it to make it, you know, more palatable, or just dilute with sparkling water. That's what I usually do. Sometimes I add it to, let's say, non-alcoholic beer to make it like Belgian sour, for example. Make you know, it's much more interesting. And the second reason is for, you know, to get kombucha into your life is just because, well, when you're drinking kombucha, you're not drinking beer or whatnot. It's I do have a whole list of how not to die. It's almost like 12 pieces. One of them is avoiding stupid things and self-destructing behaviors. I guess alcohol is one of them. It wasn't like that high on my list when I was in my 30s. Now I'm like pushing to 50. And too much alcohol, you wake up in the middle of the night. Damn, that second glass was probably extra. When your second glass is kombucha, you know, it's much better. And then you can say, yes, it's also good for your biome and everything else, but obviously don't skip your fiber. Because you still need all that prebiotic culture, you need that salad to ferment, and that's only going to help ferment it if you have it. So don't rely on kombucha too much to be your, you know, excuse not to eat salad. And that's all about why. Now, I guess next step would be what kombucha is. They used to call it a mushroom. That's probably how it's referred to, but well, it's not a mushroom at all. It's just a culture of yeast, which turns sugar into alcohol, and some other bacteria which turn alcohol into, I think, oleic acid, basically a vinegar. So you know, through human history, probably humans tried to ferment everything they could put their hands on. And somebody had black tea, probably in China, with some molasses in it, and forgot about it. And suddenly it started to ferment, and people said, okay, it's not bad too. The name kombucha, it's actually more like Japanese. I think it's translated as seaweed tea. Why seaweed? Nobody really knows. Maybe because if you look at that culture on the screen, it looks like the kelp seaweed. In essence, it's just a fermented black tea. It's very simple. You make a lot of black tea. You introduce culture. I mean, you can wait until it introduces by itself, but you never know what's going to get in. This way, you put a known culture in, and it just multiplies and grows, and as a result, you get the drink. So as simple as that. Then you can make it more interesting. Everyone can try. some point, what it tastes like, at least my batch, because they're all slightly different. But then you can add some wild blueberries to make it more interesting. People add all kind of crazy stuff into the kombucha. Everyone is welcome to experiment and report back. and then you can make a competition, who made the craziest kombucha. Through the years, just ultimately 99% of the time just use some berries. And well, we need to boil some water. And if we can do it here, we can do it.
Wasn't Pavel boiling some or something?
We can do this half a gallon just as a demonstration.
But here we have jars, right? So we can. Are we going to do one of these jars?
Okay, so first we make tea, right? Okay. Then we need to chill it down to room temperature. Otherwise, the culture is going to die.
So let's make the tea in the jar, chill the jar, and then okay.
Yeah. So the important part is not to crack it, because those jars have a tendency, if you put hot water and cold water, they. Yeah, exactly. Yeah, because I broke more than one, so and it's not pleasant thing, especially when you have it, with boiling water around. I don't know how long it's going to take. That's why I made that part just in case, because there I do exactly 1 gallon, because it's usually I do 2 gallons, but because we have those 1 gallon jars. But what I do have there is a power of montage. And don't do that. Or don't tell anyone that you did it. And for 1 gallon of water, you need about 1 cup of sugar. So while it's hot, it's actually much easier to dissolve it. And I do have those infusers bags. You can use whatever you want.
Yeah, we have some as well. I don't know. I guess this isn't it. There's some over there. We bought the infusers.
So you need about 2 tablespoons. And
yeah, so these are the infusers. People will have to make their own kits to take them home.
Yeah. So what I have there now is a black tea, which is cold room temperature. And I use these bottles as secondary containers. So there are different ways to transfer the liquid. Like in my vat, I have kombucha ready, and I use this like thief from my beer brewing days. Or you can use it steel funnel, or you can transfer to another big bottle. You can be as messy as you want.
This is you taking out the old kombucha.
Yes. Actually, I do have some. I brought some of it in that container.
How much tea do we put in this?
About 2 tablespoons per gallon.
2 tablespoons of tea per gallon.
Well, it can be black tea, can be green tea, but you just want strong tea. And the beautiful thing about kombucha, it's very resilient. So if you don't have to be precise to the milligrams there.
You know what the difference is between kombucha and
The tea is right there.
Isn't pu'er fermented tea?
No, pu'er is just a type of tea.
I thought it was fermented.
Well, the tea
ferment
itself,
the leaves,
the
not
tea, but I think most tea leaves are a little bit fermented to some degree.
This is a critical thing, putting the SCOBY in.
Yeah.
So you have some SCOBYs in there.
Yes,
right?
yes, I brought
Cool.
some.
So we'll do
So you see that into my new jar, right? I put the top layer in, and I'm going to transfer the rest of the chilled, sweet black tea into there.
What's this called? The whole layer?
Yeah, what's the SCOBY?
SCOBY is this culture, the mushroom.
Yeah, we should take one out because it's much more. It's pretty interesting.
Yeah, you can open and.
Here.
Yeah.
Can somebody get a plate? And maybe a fork or something, or 2 forks.
So it's almost like kombucha in its native habitat.
Frozen blueberries.
Yeah.
So you're putting those into the finished kombucha.
Yes. Yeah.
Okay.
Into the bottles.
Blueberries go into the finished kombucha.
Yeah. And that's it. And you wait.
So you haven't filtered anything out. So is there any culture in that filtrate? Well, not filtrate, but the liquid. Yeah.
Come again?
When you transfer liquid, you're not filtering it.
No,
So
not at all.
Is it live?
Yeah, everything is live. Yes.
No,
And
I mean the liquid still has some culture.
yes, it's all.
So-
I mean, that's the probiotics you actually have in there. It's all alive. I mean, it mostly lives in this mushroom part, but you obviously have a lot in the liquid as well. In fact, if you leave it like that, add a little sugar, it will start to grow a new
I see.
culture on top.
Okay. But so when you add berries, they start getting fermented as well.
Oh yeah, and they. And I only put it there yesterday, so but this is clear one. This is with berries, and you can already probably see the difference.
Yeah.
It's getting colorful, and it releases the taste, and so.
In terms of alcohol content, it goes up and then it starts to go down, like at fermentation.
I've never really measured it. Maybe it has 1% of alcohol at the top.
Oh, really?
Yeah, but no more than that.
So also, if you store these at room temperature, do they explode?
I've managed to screw it up in many different ways, but not a single bottle exploded yet.
Really?
Yes.
But don't they continue fermenting?
Yes, they do.
Not that much.
But you see, I'm making it so sour.
There's not a lot of sugar.
There's not a lot of
so it
sugar
doesn't-
left, although I add berries. But
How do you know when to stop it?
whenever I feel like it.
Okay, so you're
It's,
tasting it.
You're tasting it, exactly.
Okay, you're stopping it to taste.
So let's say if I would add mangoes here or some sweet berries, wait for a day or two, then you don't just open and hope it's not going to spray your ceiling, because it will. Right? It builds pressure, it's fermenting, CO2 has nowhere to escape, so it can become like a bomb. So handle with care, especially you add something, as I said, sweet there. The berries, they don't have that much sugar in them, so more or less safe.
I want to try it. There's cups you should.
Yeah.
have some.
So, this is very sourish. In a way, it's like apple cider vinegar, but it's just more palatable than apple cider vinegar. More drinkable. Yeah.
That's way better than I thought it would be.
But let's take out the mushroom and show them what they're
Oh
doing.
yeah, sure.
It's pretty interesting. Do you have a way of picking it up? It's a good
I
question.
feel like Mike wants to try it.
If you eat the mushroom, people don't eat it, do they?
I do.
You do.
You can eat it, absolutely.
I challenge the taste. Yeah.
So you can see the
Taking a bite out of that?
He says you can.
not in
That
this
is
way.
You really have
Woo,
to see the
sorry.
mushroom. That's
Yeah,
the
yeah.
important thing.
So it's almost like creates a layers of tissue. Because when you put when I started to ferment a new one, it created a new layer. Then I did another change. In 2 weeks, it created another layer, then another layer, and then another layer. So at some point, if you don't remove the culture, you'll have only culture inside. And that's where you find the friend who needs one and you donate. Or you can actually put it into a blender, add a lot of berries, mix it all up, and then dehydrate. And it becomes like a sour sticks kind of thing. Yeah, like those fruity, whatever, I don't know how they're called. But my kids eat them, I eat them. Except that you need to actually get involved into cooking. Yeah.
So if you just cut off a piece and put it in a bag,
It's alive. And in a way, it might not like the surface. Because humidity, because light, because something else. Because they're alive, they're getting used to whatever environment they live in. And usually when you make the first batch, it might be weak or have off taste. Second one gets better. Third one usually is, ooh, now we're talking. Or it might just die off because screw you. Again, they have that. They're resilient, but sometimes they can be.
Can you peel off a pancake from it? Does it peel off?
Yes, yeah. As I said, they all like. I mean, they grow into each other, but with some force.
So the layers are peelable.
Yeah, the layers are very much peelable. Okay, the good thing about because it's oleic acid, it sterilizes pretty much nicely everything, right? It's very acidic. So yes, you can have some cross contamination, and you have to close. Like I think we ordered some soft cloth which goes on top, so nothing else fall in. But usually you don't need any sterilization. I mean, sometimes when I clean, I use a little bit of vinegar, white vinegar, just to clean it. But nothing survives in that high acidity. So, but you have to, when you grow it, you have to kind of keep an eye what's growing on top. There should be no mold growing on mold.
Are you always using black tea?
No. Sometimes I use green tea. It doesn't really. I mean, it needs some caffeine for some reason. I mean, too. I guess it also runs on caffeine, as many people do.
How long do you ferment it for? How many weeks?
Usually, most people like it when it's been fermenting for a week, but I do it for 2 or 3 weeks.
Do you get different flavors depending on when you
It's getting stronger, or has more bite, less sugar, more acidity. So in a week you can just drink it directly, in a way. In 3 weeks, no, you probably won't be able to do that and keep a straight face.
Is it still the same sugar as because I think we're told not to have that much sugar.
No, but it
in our
turns into
diet.
vinegar.
It turns into vinegar.
So it completely changes its
It does not completely change. There is still some sugar in it, and that's why I'm fermenting it for longer than usual, because otherwise, for me, it's too sweet.
Yeah.
But the longer you ferment it, the less sugar obviously you get, and if you dilute it, then it becomes even less sugar.
Okay.
So don't.
So how long do you have to ferment it till it becomes a healthy versus
It's a matter of the dose and how much muscle you have. If you exercise on a regular basis, you can probably drink even when it's sugary and be okay. I mean, it's hard to say. It's all personal. Sometimes I put a CGM into myself, and then I can tell you exactly. Okay, this probably was too much.
Do you know much about the history of this? How long people have been making kombucha?
More than 2,000 years. In a way, it's prehistoric. We don't really know.
Oh my gosh.
So it came from China. Yeah.
But we got it in Western civilization got it through Russia.
I think so.
Something that kind of passed through the Mongol
Yes,
hordes to
yes,
Russia.
yes. I think
it's
so.
like kombucha
From
and
China,
dumplings.
to Mongols, to Russia, and maybe some Turkey and. Yeah. Because when I was a kid, almost every household, every other household had their own kombucha in a jar somewhere. Everyone drinks tea, or used to drink tea in Russia. You don't finish it up, you just pour the rest from your cup. Recycling, food recycling project. You have sugar, you don't let that sugar go to waste. What I don't know is how did they get that much sugar in China 2,000 years ago? Right, because
Could they have used food, or they couldn't?
I don't know. I don't know, but I guess maybe originally it wasn't. Most likely it wasn't as sweet as people make it today.
So your feedback loop is 2 to 3 weeks.
Yeah, about that. Ideally, you want to put it in the dark, dry place, dark, warm place, so you don't have sunlight in there. So usually,
Basement or on the first floor?
basement is not ideal because humidity might be too high.
So first floor.
First floor in the closet, in any kitchen closet, for example. And then you sort of forget about it.
Right.
And then, oh, shoot. And that's how one of my batches has died. Because I went on vacation, it was summertime, we went on Cape, then we flew on Burning Man, and 2 months later, oh shit.
So here, oh, sorry. So all right. So
Okay, you're welcome to mess it up.
here you go.
Also, I don't know how offended the culture is going to be from all this ripping and tearing.
Yeah, we'll see. That's why we got the backups. But
Yeah.
We'll see. So okay, this is important. You want it to be in a cool, dry place, right? Or what temperature do you want to?
Room temperature, dry,
What's
and
room temperature? 70 Fahrenheit or 20?
you see, I think it adapts to, if it used to live in 75,
Yeah.
and you move it to 60,
So what's your room? What's the
It's-
temperature in your room?
it's going to freak out. Usually 70.
Okay.
It grows slightly better and quicker.
Do you give it sunlight? No.
No sunlight,
Okay, this
dark
is
place.
important. Guys, no sunlight. This is important.
Yeah, don't leave it on. It should be. It should be. Yes, exactly.
Can I grab one?
Dark cupboard.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Any final notes?
Enjoy. I mean, again, it's an experiment. Don't be too hard on yourself if it dies. Try it again. Almost like in any experiment, you have to be ready to fail a couple times before you dial it in.
Okay, nice. We've succeeded.
That was amazing.
You're welcome.